Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about the North Node in Gemini in a natal horoscope. Well, as most of you know, the North Node, I could say that again, the North Node basically essentially represents what we're going to focus on and emphasize from like maybe age 30 and beyond, things that were perhaps neglected or what we were quote unquote oblivious to in maybe the first 30 years or so of our life, perhaps something that we avoided or had an aversion to in previous lifetimes, and what we're going to focus on now during the second half of our life. So the first thing I like to say is that perhaps one, I think, obvious conclusion one can come to is that in this time around, so to speak, and after age 30, that these people that have this placement may emphasize being inquisitive, knowing that it's okay to ask people questions and just do it in a way it doesn't come across as being nosy, to be perhaps that quote-unquote inveterate question asker, to wanting to know information, to assimilate it, and maybe perhaps move on to another subject after getting a certain amount of information. What I'm saying is not everything. I think the one main thing to these people understand or try to beyond age 30 is that you don't necessarily have to learn a lot of subjects to their full extent. It's okay to be very diversified with information and to maybe learn something enough where you get certain knowledge of it, and perhaps in order to avoid boredom and monotony, maybe go on to another subject, to be well informed on a multitude of subjects. That not everything has to necessarily be done in a classroom setting, and to just have to sit in a classroom and learn everything in all these subjects deeply. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong to do this, but I think the emphasis beyond age 30 is that the person learns that they could learn things through worldly things just by communicating with others, being I guess you could say taking their journeys in their own community, talking to people in their neighborhood. Perhaps this is something the person learns. You have to look at the South Node would be in Sagittarius in this case, and Sagittarius is about learning of things, profound subjects, deep concepts, or what have you. And Sagittarius is a sign that's very blunt, outspoken. Now, people with the North Node in Gemini must learn to maybe to kind of veer away from the South Node to some degree, so they can therefore, maybe when they speak, they not necessarily going to avoid the truth, but maybe can bend the truth to a certain degree from time to time and say things in a more, I guess we could say, tactful and diplomatic manner, where it doesn't come across as being overly blunt or outspoken, or might come across as brusque to some people, even though that might not be the intention necessarily. So I think those are things that must be, that as far as the Gemini North Node learns, that's what their focus on, one of their focuses are beyond age 30. And I look at this placement and that some aspirations that this person may consider at this point in time in their life, maybe things that are connected with writing, some kind of journalism, communication. It could be data communication, or some broadcasting, or just writing, and just being able to want to really have a strong desire to learn many different subjects, and disseminate this information through communicating. I think one of the things is that with the South Node, the people have this North Node in Gemini, obviously the South Node's in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is often, it's connected with just learning subjects very deeply and in a profound manner, and the Gemini is more about kind of learning things a little bit more superficially, and learning and can assimilate a lot of information despite lack of persistence. And I think one of the things to be learned in this time around, so to speak, that this person mind can very possibly learn a lot without having to stay with subjects for a strong period of time. The Sagittarius is more concerned on it has an emphasis on being outdoorsy, so to speak, and being adventurous and taking, being the explorer, and taking, and is about a lot of about being philosophical and about taking long trips. But when we look at the Gemini, is more about in their own community, being very mobile, just in general. Not necessarily is interested in the long, I guess you could say, the long journeys, or learning something very super deeply, so to speak. And Gemini is a little bit more about just being active mentally, and I think Sag is more about the learning profound subjects, and Gemini likes to kind of communicate them and being able to talk about these things with other people. So the main thing is that in this time around, and I think one of the main things is that the Gemini learns that it's okay to also to show their, I guess you could say, that whimsical, lively, vivacious side to others, and to kind of be that person. Gemini is often associated with the person that has the little boy or girl complex, because they have a very youthful way of expression. And I think this person learns that it's okay to show this side to other people in this time around. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for the North Node in Gemini in a natal horoscope. Stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about the North Node in Cancer in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis on a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because a person astrologically is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.